And now, for a moment of clarity.
Well, that was rich. This whole evening was just filled with a lot of stuff. Elisa, I want to start with you on an aspect of this, which I thought was, how should we put it, rich. It was a rich moment for me when Trump talked about an unelected bureaucracy. Let's take a quick listen to that, please.
We have hundreds of thousands of federal workers who have not been showing up to work. My administration will reclaim power from this unaccountable bureaucracy, and we will restore true democracy to America again. And any federal bureaucrat who resists this change will be removed from office immediately. Because we are draining the swamp. It's very simple. And the days of rule by unelected bureaucrats are over.
So there were two aspects of that I thought were rich. One, the bobbleheads behind the president voted for those bureaucrats in that bureaucracy, that they're now sitting there watching be deconstructed with broad smiles on their face. Second, the most obvious unelected bureaucrat at the center of all of this is Elon Musk. And I think, for me at least, as I hope for a lot of Americans, they're beginning to see now just how dangerous this proposition could be. What was your take in contextualizing that moment against the backdrop of this evening?
It is interesting to me how Elon Musk has done a pretty good job of making Donald Trump still feel relatively unthreatened. Why would you give Elon Musk a prime seat at your State of the Union to highlight that he has a front and centered role as an unelected bureaucrat?
The thing about the moment for me, for folks, if you really want to understand the difference between Republican control and Democratic acquiescence, it's in how two things happened in that chamber and how they were handled. When Marjorie Taylor Greene and Lauren Boebert stood up and showed their behinds on the House floor, all right, when they just act a fool, shouting and talking and being loud and disruptive, what happened?
They stayed.
They stayed. Democrats didn't threaten them. Democrats didn't tell them to sit your behind down and shut up, right? Order in the House.
Well,
what happened?
What should the Democrats done?
But what happened? What happened tonight?
Well, what should have happened tonight?
What happened then is what happened tonight. Because the Republicans weren't coming to play. They weren't going to give the Democrats the quarter. They knew what they were going to do. They knew they were going to try to be disruptive in some form. And their goal was to shut it down in one of two ways. And both of them worked. USA, as if they own that, that moniker, and throw them out.
I guess you mean what should have the Democrats done instead of what they did?
Out.
No, I'm talking about tonight. What should the Democrats have done tonight instead of what they did?
Some of us believe they shouldn't have shown up. Or if they showed up at a certain point, here's the deal. When the congressman was kicked out, half that room should have left with him. Because that was the point. He was the only one to stand up and say, I'm not going to sit here and let you lie in this chamber. I'm not going to let you get away with this because you're lying right now. And instead of calling the man a lie, like they did to Barack Obama.
Right. I remember, I was there.
Right?
And nothing happened.
And what happened then?
Didn't he got a pat on the wrist afterwards?
I think there's what happened tonight.
I thought she did a fantastic job. I thought that she kept it short also, which is such an advantage that so many politicians just underestimate. People are going to actually pay attention to the substance of what she said. She was very clear, plain, eloquent. She didn't, there wasn't any drama. She didn't need to add any drama to what she was saying because the reality is already there. She was telling the truth, but it came across in just a very simple, straightforward way that I think more Democrats could be smart to emulate.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I thought she did a very good job because that's a very tough thing to do to follow any presidential.
Killed many a career.
Yes.
It killed many a career. She didn't need a drink of water.
I know, right? I was about to say.
But I think the Slotkin piece tonight, if they're really creative folks inside the bubble with the Democrats right now, to juxtapose pieces, if I'm doing an ad tomorrow, which I would be doing right now if I'm the DNC chair, I would have my folks put up an ad tomorrow to play in some key areas, pieces from Trump's speech with Slotkin's response, and begin to set the narrative contrast, because the fight for the House began tonight, folks.
Well, it started 3 months ago.
No, but it actually began in earnest tonight politically. I think a lot of folks now, particularly given what you've already described as the energy, the angst inside the Democratic Party for what some would argue is the failure to seize the moment by a proactive action, right? I think they can begin now to take some steps to sort of reframe this conversation for the country that I think is ready for that reframing, given everything that's been happening, what we're seeing happening in red states and town hall meetings, what we're seeing happen with members now, the Republicans being told, hey, no more town hall meetings, y'all, right?
Don't actually talk to the people who put you in office and that you serve and who pay your salary. Nope, be a coward.
Be a coward. I love it.
Are you going to literally tell these people whose people in their district are saying, I want you to fight for me? There's sound from a town hall where someone stood up and said, please, just we'll be with you. Just do something.
Well, I know a thing or two about Steele spines. So
yes, we know.
I really appreciate that.
I did that for you.
Thank you very much. I really do appreciate that. But there's a lot of value in what you're saying, Simone, because you're right. It's not going to get solved in a television ad. It's not going to get solved in anything you send across the transom on people's phones. It's a combination of a lot of things that have to come together, and at the core of that is action. And in this age where you see at least one party doing and taking all kinds of actions, right? Whether you like them or not, there's activity. And what it's doing, if you've noticed, is it's emboldening the Republicans in a way in which dissent becomes much more difficult. The tighter, the more active, the harder it is. You don't have that right now on the Democratic side in a way that I thought maybe they could have begun to do that tonight. Let them, to your point, let the members express themselves. Smack them on the hand tomorrow morning, but create that link at that moment of action for them so they can begin to see, okay, yeah, now we can coalesce around, and yeah, we'll take the hit on the hand, and the public may or may not like everything that we did, but at least they know one thing about us. We're ready to fight.
You know who's giving to the Democrats tonight? People that support Al Green. His coffers are being filled because they're like, that's a member that's fighting for me. And I'm like, baby, you live in Nebraska. Al Green is actually not your representative.
And just sending them all the money.
Okay.
Catch Michael Steele on The Weekend, Saturdays and Sundays on MSNBC.